In this video, let's talk about one of the best games in the Superbet Romania Chess Classic 2025. This is a high-level battle between Alireza Firouzja and Fabiano Caruana. If you like this kind of video, do not forget to subscribe. d4 moves the queen's pawn 2 squares forward to control the center. d5 matches white's central control. This is called the queen's pawn opening. Knight f3 develops a knight toward the center and defends the d4 pawn. Knight f6 develops his own knight to mirror white's setup. c4 offers a pawn trade to challenge black's control over the center. This is part of the queen's gambit. e6 defends the d5 pawn and opens lines for the dark square bishop. This is called queen gambit declined. Knight c3 develops another piece and adds pressure to d5. Knight b to d7 develops his other knight and supports the knight on f6. White captures on d5. Black recaptures. Bishop g5 pins the knight on f6 to the queen, creating tension. c6 supports the d5 pawn because knight can capture it. Queen c2 preparing e3 to lines up the queen with the bishop, eyeing the h7 pawn. Bishop e7 prepares to castle kingside and breaks the pin on the knight. e3 opens the diagonal for the light square bishop. Knight h5 offering to trade the bishop. Bishop take on e7 removing a defender of the kingside. Queen take on e7. g4 aggressively pushes a kingside pawn to attack the knight and start a pawn storm. Knight h to f6 brings the knight back, attacking the pawn. Rook g1 support the pawn and strengthens the g-file attack. Knight b6 develops the knight to control the c4 or d5 squares later. This opened the bishop to attack g-pawn. h3 supporting the pawn. Bishop e6 finishes minor pieces development and eyes the long diagonal. Now, black has two options to castling. Bishop d3 points the bishop toward h7, aiming at the king. g6 solidify kingside defenses. White castles queenside. King is now safe, and rook comes to the center. Black castles queenside. Same idea. King b1 tucks the king into the corner for safety. Black does the same. King a1, very cautious, ensures the king is fully tucked in. Rook c8 controls the open c-file. Rook c1 lines up rooks on the c-file. Rook c7 preparing to doubles the rook. Knight d2 plans to reposition the knight to better squares. h5 begins a pawn storm of his own on the king side. g5 attacks the knight, trying to open lines toward the king. Knight f to d7 moves knight back to a safe square. h4 keeps pushing forward on the king side. c5 starts a counterattack on the queen side. White captures on c5, opening the center. Black recaptures with knight, keeping a strong central piece. Knight b5. The knight moves to an aggressive post, threatening rook on c7 and a7. Rook retreat to c8. Queen c3 centralizes the queen and threatens to swing to the king side. Bishop d7 prepares to trade off white's active pieces. Queen a3. White puts pressure on the a-file, threatening checkmate. Black captures the knight to remove pressure. White recaptures. Rook c7 prepares to double the rook again. Rook c2. White prepares to double rooks too. Rook c8 double the rook. Rook c1 do the same idea. Black activates a knight in the center. Offer to trade the pieces. And it happened. White trades rooks. Black recaptures. White trades queens, simplifying. Black recaptures. Knight take on e4. Rook take the knight. After all the trade, black's slightly better, and now his rook attacking the h-pawn. Rook h1, protect the pawn. d4 pushes a central pawn to open lines and make space for his pieces. Bishop d3, attack the rook. Rook g4. Bishop c2 pulls the bishop back, maybe preparing to defend or reroute it. Rook g2 puts the rook deep in white's territory, threatening pawn captures. White captures the pawn on d4. Black responds by capturing f2 with the rook, attacking the second rank and grabbing material. King b1, support the bishop. Knight c4 plants the knight on a strong outpost, eyeing b2 and d2. Bishop d3 attacks the strong knight. Knight d6, retreat to keep an eye on white pass pawn. Rook f1 offers to trade the rook, but black refuse. Rook d2 attacks the bishop. Rook f3 defend the bishop. Rook g2, b3, b5. White pushes a4, wants to break open the a-file. Black captures, opens lines toward white's king. White moves bishop to c4, targets f7. Pawn take on b3. White captures pawn on b3 to stop it. Knight f5. Knight jumps to an aggressive square. Rook h3, defend h-pawn. Rook f2, controls the second rank and f-file instead of take d-pawn. White captures on f7. Black captures on h4. White checks the king. Black runs to safety on c7. White shifts rook to a3, preparing to target a7. Black pushes a5. Now, black ready to take the bishop. White saved the bishop again to an active center square. Black activates the rook. White checks the king again. Black hides on d6, still central but safer. White places bishop on e4 to attack the rook. Black captures g5, gets rid of white's pawn. White checks again. Black moves king to d7. White brings rook to threatening a-pawn. Black counterattacks white bishop. Bishop retreat to c2. Black plays c7, brings king to support pass pawns. White captures the a-pawn. Black activates king, heading toward the center or king side. White checks again. Black goes to g5, getting aggressive. White pushes d5, trying to create a passed pawn to promote. Black put the knight to f5. White centralizes king for endgame support. Black pushes h4, starts another dangerous pawn race. White improves king position. Black continues the pawn push, only 2 steps from queening. White pushes d6, 2 steps from promotion. Black plays h2, 1 step from queening. White plays d7, threatens to promote immediately. Black blocks with rd4, stops promotion for now. White captures the knight to guard the rook. This tact is called removing the guard. In this position, there is only one move to win and maintaining material imbalance. Fabiano Caruana find the best move. Black promotes h-pawn to a queen. King take rook. Queen h8, checking the king. King d5, king take bishop. Both white and black has a pawn. The game continue. Rook d6, prepare to promote the pawn. Queen d8, stop the pawn. King c6, support the pawn and prepare to activate the rook to attack the queen. g5, prepare to promote pass pawn. Rook d1, g4. Rook e1, queen a8. King d6, g3, 2 moves to promote the pawn. King e7, a logical move to prepare pawn promotion. But this is a mistake. Queen a3, check the king. King e8. But queen a4, pin the pawn. White cannot push his pass pawn. Therefore, rook attack the king. But king e6, threatening white pass pawn. Rook check the king again. King to f5. White put the rook to e2 to prevent pass pawn. But queen b5, attacking the rook and maintain the pin to white's pass pawn. White escaped the rook to e7. After that, black pushed g2. Alireza resigned after that move.